What if your restlessness is actually divine discontent, a signal that you're meant for more? Maslow described this inner push as a basic need, the urge to realize your full potential, just like sunlight is essential for a plant's growth. He saw self-actualization not as a luxury, but as a core human requirement, without which we risk feeling unfulfilled and disconnected. Self-actualized people share one powerful mindset. Instead of focusing only on needs challenges, like security and belonging, they embrace being challenges, which are growth-oriented drives to express their true selves. This subtle shift changes everything. Want to know how they cultivate this way of living? The answer starts with recognizing hunger that comfort alone just cannot satisfy. So the hidden disease of modern life. You wake up in a nice home, you check your bank balance, the numbers look really good. Your boss complimented you last week. By all standard measures, you should feel really satisfied. Yet there's this persistent hollow feeling like something essential is missing. This isn't just a bad mood, it's what psychologists call soul hunger, the modern epidemic that nobody talks about. Studies from the Journal of Positive Psychology found that 60% of people with financially secure lives report chronic dissatisfaction. They have comfort but no vitality. Neurological research shows that when the brain lacks meaningful challenges, it behaves like an underused muscle. It weakens. MRIs reveal that people without purpose show decreased activity in the prefrontal cortex. This is the area responsible for motivation and decision making. Your biology literally deteriorates without growth. Consider cortisol levels. University of Michigan researchers found that individuals lacking purpose had 20 to 30% higher stress hormone averages compared with those engaged in meaningful work. Their immune markers also showed measurable deficiencies. Your body knows when you're settling. It protests through biochemistry. Yet we often misinterpret those signals, that gnawing restlessness. It might not be a problem to solve, but your psyche, pushing for evolution, understands this. Anthropologists studying indigenous cultures noticed something curious. Tribes that ritualized personal growth had almost no recorded cases of depression. Their members viewed existential dissatisfaction not as a flaw but as vital guidance. Here's what this means for you. That uncomfortable urge for more isn't greed, it's your nervous system demanding the conditions it evolved for. Engagement with the unknown is super important for your nervous system. Comfort stabilizes, but purpose energizes. Societies that misunderstand this produce technically functional people, but there is a hollowness. Maslow saw this coming. His unpublished journals describe how industrial civilizations inadvertently created comfortable zombies, people who stopped climbing the hierarchy after securing safety and esteem needs. But humans aren't designed to plateau. When you ignore the call towards actualization, you don't stay neutral, you regress. Your irritation with trivial problems might be a hidden signal. The tedious arguments about the parking spots or office temperatures, those frustrations often mask a deeper protest against wasting mental energy on pettiness. Your brain wants worthy opponents, ethical dilemmas, creative blocks, intellectual puzzles, not first world inconveniences. This explains why self-actualized individuals seem almost immune to trivial dramas. Their focus is elsewhere. What if your satisfaction is actually your psyche refusing to accept stagnation? That would mean that every moment of restlessness contains an invitation to move toward challenges that energize rather than exhaust you. Maslow's forbidden truth about human nature. Maslow's forbidden truth about human nature is unsettling because it challenges the very foundation of how we define a good life. He believed that society, by focusing so heavily on material success and social acceptance, quietly encourages you to stop short of your full potential. The hierarchy of needs wasn't a simple checklist to be completed, but a warning sign. Most people get stuck at the level of esteem, chasing recognition, status, and security, while their deeper need for growth remains unmet. In his private notes, Maslow described these people as comfortable zombies, outwardly successful, yet inwardly fading. Self-actualization isn't just an inspiring idea. Maslow saw it as the survival need for the soul. The traits he observed in self-actualized people, autonomy, authenticity, and a resistance to cultural conditioning, aren't just ideas to aspire to, but practical tools for staying whole in a world that constantly tries to pull you off course. Maslow noted that these individuals are less swayed by external approval and more attuned to their own values. Their sense of purpose comes from within, allowing them to follow their unique path even when it runs against the grain of popular opinion. He warned that modern culture often rewards compliance over curiosity, making it harder for people to pursue genuine growth. When we ignore our higher needs, the consequences aren't always dramatic or immediate. Maslow likened it to scurvy of the soul. Without growth, our inner life dulls. People stop noticing beauty, lose their problem-solving spark, and begin to feel a quiet sense of withering that no amount of comfort can cure. Yet Maslow also observed that some people manage to break through these cultural barriers. What sets them apart is a certain reverence for ordinary moments. He wrote about their freshness of appreciation, the ability to find wonder in a sunrise, a conversation, or even a cup of coffee. For them, each day holds the potential for discovery, no matter how familiar the routine. This isn't about denying hardship or pretending life is always magical. It's about maintaining an openness to experience that most adults gradually lose. The real difference Maslow found is in how these individuals frame their daily lives. Instead of asking, how can I get through this? They ask, what can this reveal? This mindset isn't just a personality quirk, it's a way of being that protects their vitality against a culture that often encourages numbness. The traits that seem odd or eccentric from the outside are in fact quiet acts of resistance, habits that keep the spirit awake. Understanding forbidden truth changes how we view those that seem a little different. Their behaviours might look strange at first, but there's a hidden logic behind them, a language of perception that's easy to miss if you're not looking closely. The secret language of actualized people. Self-actualized people communicate in ways that can seem unusual at first. Their approach is grounded in a set of recognizable traits. Maslow identified continued freshness of appreciation as one of the most telling characteristics. This isn't just poetic language. It means self-actualizers see familiar scenes with childlike wonder. They notice beauty and novelty in everyday moments that most people overlook. They might pause to see the way the sunlight filters through a window or find deep satisfaction in the taste of a meal. For them, each experience has the potential to feel new, no matter how many times it's repeated. Their relationship with culture is equally distinct. Rather than following trends or seeking validation through popularity, self-actualized people show what Maslow called a democratic character structure and marked detachment from cultural conditioning. They choose their values carefully, guided by an internal sense of truth rather than external pressures. This makes them less susceptible to advertising, social fads, or the opinions of the crowd. It's not about rebellion for its own sake, but it's about living in alignment with what feels true and meaningful. Another trait that Maslow emphasized is problem centering. Self-actualized individuals focus on challenges outside of themselves, often dedicating their energy to causes or questions that matter to them and others. They're motivated by a sense of purpose that extends beyond personal gain or ego. When faced with dilemmas, they approach them with a calm objectivity, less concerned with how they appear and more invested in finding what's true or useful. Their perception of reality is unusually clear. Maslow noted that self-actualizers have a superior ability to see things as they are, spotting dishonesty or inconsistency really quickly, whether in people, art, or ideas. They trust their own observations and aren't easily swayed by hype or superficial appearances. This clarity helps them make decisions that are both practical and principled. One of the most profound aspects of their experience is the regular occurrence of what Maslow called peak experiences, moments of intense joy, unity, and insight that can arise during something very simple, such as listening to music or walking in nature. These experiences often bring a sense of connection to something larger than themselves and leave a lasting impression, subtly shifting their perspective on life. What might look like eccentricity, lingering over a leaf's pattern, becoming emotional at a piece of music, or turning a small decision into a matter of conscience, are actually signs of this deeper way of seeing and being. Their behaviours follow a pattern once you recognise the underlying mechanism. They process life with less cultural filtering and more direct attention, allowing even ordinary moments to become meaningful. Maslow's research lists continued freshness of appreciation and problem-centered focus among 34 established traits of self-actualized people. These aren't mystical gifts, they're ways of interacting with the world that anyone can begin to cultivate. The real secret is in how these individuals practice concentrated attention in their daily life, turning routine activities into opportunities for presence and discovery. Understanding this secret language isn't about adopting someone else's habits. It's about realizing that transformation is possible even in the most ordinary circumstances. What comes next is the surprised way self-actualized people find meaning not in grand gestures but in the fabric of daily routine. The alchemy of ordinary transformation. The path to self-actualization isn't found in dramatic epiphanies or exclusive retreats. It's hidden in your daily routine. Most people make the mistake of treating growth like a goal to achieve rather than a way of being. Yet Maslow's research revealed something counterintuitive. Self-actualized people didn't force their way into fulfillment. They stumbled into it by being deliberate and bringing attention to ordinary moments. The difference lies in not what they did, but how they did it. Take something as mundane as grocery shopping. Instead of rushing through the aisles, they approach it with curiosity, observing textures of produce, noting the geometry of stacked cans, listening to the rhythm of the carts moving. This isn't whimsy neuroscience that confirms mindfulness during routine tasks, but it activates brain regions such as formal meditation. A UCLA study found that people who engaged fully in chores showed grey matter increases in the prefrontal cortex after just 8 weeks. The act of washing dishes when done attentively can strengthen neural pathways associated with presence as effectively as seated mindfulness practice. But their true secret lies in what they refuse to do. While most people fill idle moments with distractions, scrolling, multitasking, background noise, self-actualizers protect empty space. They resist the cultural pressure to constantly consume. This isn't about discipline, it's about creating room for spontaneous insight. Brain scans show that during unstructured time, the default mode network is linked to creativity and self-referential thoughts. These fire incoherent patterns similar to those seen in professional artists. What looks like daydreaming is actually cognitive restructuring. They also approach tasks with an intrinsic motivation that transforms obligation into opportunity. Where others see a to-do list, they see a chance to refine their approach. Folding laundry is an exercise in efficiency and aesthetics. Responding to emails turning to practicing clarity and tone. This mindset shift isn't philosophical, it's psychological. Research from the University of Zurich found that framing tasks as personal growth challenges increases dopamine sensitivity over time, making motivation self-sustaining. Their creativity manifests in very subtle ways. They might take a different route to work, not for novelty's sake, but observe changing neighbourhoods. They might question why things are done in a certain way, not to rebel, but to understand underlying systems. This attitude mirrors from developmental psychology what self-actualizers retain and researchers call exploratory play into adulthood, approaching familiar environments with fresh eyes. The pivotal difference comes down to orientation. Most people ask, how quickly can I finish this? Self-actualizers ask, what can this teach me? This reframe turns grocery shopping into an anthropological study, conversations into psychological insights, and waiting rooms into meditation chambers. Their world feels richer because they've trained their perception to detect more of it. You've likely experienced glimpses of this. Recall moments when time seemed to slow, when sunlight through a window captivated you, or a song made you pause mid-task. Those weren't accidents, they were indications of an available state. The self-actualized haven't mastered some esoteric art. They've simply learned not to override the wonder that comes naturally when we stop rushing through life. What if your most mundane moments can be your most profound, if you'd only approach them a little bit differently? Integrating self-actualizing into your daily life is less about grand gestures and more about how you approach the ordinary. As Maslow reminded us, striving beyond comfort fuels the human spirit. Echoing Browning's advice, man should reach and exceed his grasp, or what's a heaven for? That tension between where you are and where you could be is intentional, not accidental. This week, try focusing on one Maslow trait, like the freshness of appreciation. Pause to notice something you'll usually overlook and share your experience in the comments below. Your unease isn't a flaw, it's a compass pointing to your higher need. Lean into it.